Darrell, Jenny, Shonali, Cheyenne. I'm seeing you guys there. What churches are you all from? Tell us, please. We want to know. And we are happy that you guys are here. Remember to share. You can share the link if you know that there are other AY persons that should be here. Oh, it's Stanmore in the house, big time. All right, Stanmore. If you know that there are other AY leaders that should be here this evening and are not, remember to invite them to come on over so that they too can be aware of and made be able to appreciate the information that is being shared with us this evening. And we have a dynamic presenter. We have a dynamic presenter this evening, and let me just share a little bit about him with you. Brother Daryl Waldron is a man of God who continues to do youth work with passion. That's how I would say it. He's passionate about youth work, and he has been serving, by way of the information that he shared with us, he has been serving for the past 20 years in the capacity of youth-related activities. So he would have been in youth ministry for just about that time, as he said, 20 years. And he has served in various capacities, be it Adventist youth leader, he was Pathfinder director. I remember him with the USC marching band, National Pathfinders as well. And he also serves and would have served in various positions at his home church as it relates to being in eldership as the head elder there, then as a deacon, Sabbath school superintendent, treasurer, and he's currently serving as the elder and personal ministries director for the La Joquita Seventh-day Adventist Church. He's a man with one wife, and he is a gentleman that loves the Lord. And as he said, he loves youth work because he enjoys working with ministering to youth, especially those that are at risk. And he feels as though, this has been one of the things that was responsible for saving himself. Aside from being directly involved in youth work himself, he also enjoys training youth leaders, and that's why he's here this evening. And thus, he has been a facilitator at a number of churches and workshops, and he subscribes to the ideology that if a youth is rightly trained, then such an army of youth will be developed, and they will be the ones that will finish the work of the gospel in all our generations. And this is why we are here this evening. And so we have the right person, the rightest person for the job, as they say. We have the rightest person for the job. And I know that you all are going to be blessed this evening. We are all going to be blessed this evening as we sit back and hear what Brother Daryl Waldron has to share with us. So, Elder Waldron, thank you for coming. Thank you for your patience. And we turn all the way over to you at this time.
Thank you very much, Sister Carla. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I must apologize that as both Brother Thomas and Sister Carla alluded to, this session should have taken place a little while ago. But of course, due to some of my personal challenges, it couldn't come at the scheduled date. But nonetheless, I hope that we could still benefit from this session this evening. Oh, yeah. As Carla said, Stanwa is in the house. Nice. So that's good because I've been to Stanwa a couple of times and I know you are very active and vibrant folks there. Folks who like to interact. Here was a challenge with Zoom, right? And of course, we're getting into it one time because this evening we're looking at how we could present or implement the curriculum. I'll more kind of focus on the Pathfinder curriculum, and just in a little while I'll get a sense of who we have here. And of course, Zoom is the go-to thing now. We have Zoom Church boards, Zoom Meeting, everything. Zoom making a lot of money right now. And I'm sure a lot of people, thinking, hey, I wish I could have come up with this back then. So, but here is the challenge with Zoom. And I'm presenting a challenge to you very, pretty much immediately. because if you're using Zoom for your curriculum, to present your curriculum or to even host your council meetings or anything like that, the challenge is you looking into a screen, and we're not accustomed with that. We are accustomed looking into people, looking at people. That's how we relate, you know. And well, thank you, Carla, for turning on the camera. I'm not going to ask, you know, because I could tell you, you know, when we had church board last Sunday, and you know, I was rocked back in my chair in my comb clothes, you know, I was eating things. So we get accustomed to the whole Zoom thing, and it's about finding that balance between, yes, we're doing what we're doing on the Zoom, we focusing on that, but you know, we want to relax and be comfortable home. Nice, thank you. I'll say Miss Scott. I'm gonna try and Jordi, right? I would have guessed that, you know. I should have taken the chance. Nice, so good. Since you are talking about the brave people and stuff, so good. So Jordi, tell us why you here this evening. Since you turn on your mic and your camera, and now you're getting picked on. So why are you here this evening? Oh, good, Jordi, go on. No, she just getting her camera organized and thing, and yeah, yeah, that's all right. You can have your meal or your snack while we talking,
No.
Once
I have to move away from the noise.
Okay, understood.
Yes, what was the question? Why?
Yeah, why are you here this evening? No, I don't know. You have a sense of you all knew what was the topic we were dealing with this evening?
I'm not familiar with the topic per se.
Okay, all right,
However,
but generally,
I learned a training.
right.
So I'm coming here to learn something new
Nice.
so that I can go back and do what I've learned that is
All
new.
right.
I'm sure.
Okay. All right. Good. Nice. Good stuff. Nice. So that's part of it. Yeah. Anybody else? Anybody else brave enough to tell us why you're here this evening? I remember I was asked to facilitate, right? And that's a little different. And I believe your leaders were intentional in saying that that's a little different from asking to be a presenter or a teacher.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So that is Shawnell coming on there shortly. So we'll get from Shawnee just now.
I am actually here because my AY leader buffed me and said, you're supposed to be in a meeting right now.
Oh, all that could work. Good. Nice. And you listen, right? Because you could have still say, I ain't going, right? Or you could have just sign on and not say anything. And at least as far as the meeting recorded, you hear. So good. So nice. So
what is the relationship between her and the AY leader?
Oh boy, when you see that AY leader, is your mommy or your daddy? so Jordan, for any business. Oh, all right. So you had no choice because you're in the house and mommy and daddy, you know.
Sister.
Oh, your sister. Okay, all right. All right. Good. So nice. So, all right. So your AY leader told you to be here. So I'm assuming you are an AY leader. Or are you also a Pathfinder, counselor, instructor? AY, all right. Good. So then I need for everybody to give me a sense of well, actually I did a little so now I have to edit my thing. So good. So if anybody else brave in the meantime and want to introduce themselves, just tell us why you're here. Tell us one thing about you, like what you find real exciting. But tell us one thing. Yeah, here's the other challenge. Tell us one thing that you are missing as a result of this lockdown. You don't have to be related to club. Could be anything.
Hi, good afternoon. I am Adiela. I'm also from Stanmore, and the reason I'm here is because just like Shawnell, the AY leader, called me and said, hey, we're having a meeting right now, so find yourself here. So I came on one time.
Right.
One thing that I find myself missing because of the lockdown, and it has to do with AY, would be the in-person socials. And also, by the way, I'm the social leader. But yes, I miss the in-person socials that we had.
All right. Nice. Good. All right. We can take one more person.
I can go.
Yes.
I think one thing I missed. I apologize for the noise in the back. I have a little
That's all
nephew.
right, man. All of that in it.
But I think one thing I really miss is socializing, not just with your family every day, but with friends around your age group, or even just going out into nature or by the beach or by the park, just just feeling your surroundings and soaking up the nature that God gave. I can't, I'm trapped in the house now, so that's one thing I really miss about.
All right. Good. Nice. Good. So I'm glad that you shared that, right? And right. So I'm going to paste it's a Google link actually in the chat. So I just want you to just go and fill out that for us quickly. Shouldn't take about a minute or less. Right. So it will take you to a Google form. This isn't a virus or anything, so you need not worry, no fear. And you'll take just about, you can do that in a minute, right? So you'll take just about a minute to do that. So you should be seeing the, well, if you're on the screen or off the screen, you may be seeing the timer. Anybody didn't get onto it?
I'm not seeing it.
Not seeing it in the chat. Did I send it to, let me just make sure I didn't send it to one person. No, I think I clicked send to everybody. Anybody else seeing it?
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
All right. Who is the person that's seen it? Let me see if I send it straight to you.
Shane Lewis.
Shane. All right. I'm sending it directly to you, Shane. You got
Hi,
it?
question.
Yes?
I've gotten it. However, even this, well, I'm no longer the adventurer and eager beaver teacher, but could I still say that?
Yeah. You can tell us know how long you've been serving there. Oh, but you're here because of AY.
AY, yeah.
So just now. So then I need to hold on. I need to edit that a little bit.
So do we stop doing the form and let you edit it?
Yes. Yes. So you
Okay.
could just refresh it if you're on it now. You could just refresh it. And you'll see
Okay.
the option. It gives you the option to select more than one now. All right, so now I'm gonna have to give you back a minute again. All right, so we should be finishing up. I'm seeing 7 responses so far. How many persons we have here? 10, 11 minus 2, 9. Right, 8 responses so far. So just one more. Right, so we could Could roll with that for now. All right, good. So we got the last one. All right, so I'm just going to share my screen with you. All right, so you could also get a sense of everyone who is here as well. So I asked how long have you been serving? And all right, so we have 2 persons who are serving for a year or less. All right, and we have 2 persons also serving for 2 to 3 years. 2 persons serving more than 10 years. Nice. We could probably guess who they are, but we wouldn't attempt to. And 2 of you who have been serving for about 4 to 5 years. Good. You have 5 of you who are Adventurer teachers. All right. And so this part here, of course, is an interesting statistic for me. Because, well, we were kind of initially looking at the curriculum in a little more detail and then seeing how we could present it. But that's all right, because the Pathfinder curriculum, actually, the concepts that are in the Pathfinder curriculum are concepts really for life. And it's the same concepts really in the Adventurer and Eager Beaver aspects. It's just that it's presented in a simpler form. And it's really the same concepts in Master Guides or in AY Leadership. Again, it's just that the concepts are a little more deeper, right? So the format for this evening, so I got a sense from you in terms of your expectations, and I'm glad that you shared that. And then we're going to look at the curriculum a little bit. As I said, well, what I prepared was more related to the Pathfinders, but it's we're going to switch from looking at the content in detail and look more at the concepts, right? And then we also have to just consider a little bit in terms of the different learning styles. I don't know if any of your other presentations dealt with that in detail before, but at least we're going to touch it because that is important. And so what I did here firstly, and this is important for AY leaders, Pathfinder leaders, Eager Beaver leaders, or whether you're counselors or presenters or whichever, you need to know your audience. You need to know who it is that you're going to be dealing with. And whether this is in person or online, this is very important and critical, right? Because I could have come and started here and I would have gone through my presentation where I went in depth and in detail to speak of the Pathfinder curriculum. But here it is. I have here with us this evening, we have nobody who is really a Pathfinder counselor or instructor, right? So I'm saying that you need to know your audience. And this is a challenge that we have. And that's why I started off by saying, hey, when we do have persons who are here with us, who are here with us physically in terms of I could see, it really is a challenge. And so you now have to find a creative way to get a sense of who am I talking to. So of course, one of the simplest ways is asking people to turn on the cameras. Hey, I can tell you that's a proven failure. Any of you ever held a AY program and asked your members to turn on their cameras? How was it for you? Anybody tried it? How did it go?
We have tried it. However, we realized it's not working. So what we opted to do was say, as you leave the AY, just turn on the camera and wave goodbye.
So
nice. That works a bit better. However, plenty people just leave and not turn on the camera. But it have a lot more. It gives a lot more persons who would not turn it on for the whole session, but they rather turn it on just for a split second.
At the end. All right, cool. So nice. So that's one method. So take note of that. And just jumping off, and I'm going to come back to the question. The reason why I clearly defined my role here this evening in terms of facilitators compared to presenter or teacher or instructor even is because I'm facilitating the session because the intent is for it to be a discussion forum. The truth is, because we're in a new age and we have the term new normal, nobody has all the answers. So we're going to be bouncing ideas off of each other and seeing what works, what have worked for you, what hasn't worked, what could possibly work, what we could try. So that's the intent of this session. And that's why my role is really just to facilitate this discussion, right? So y'all take note of that. That's one idea there, right there. Hey, turn on your cameras and greet each other. So you get a sense of who attended. Hey, probably we could try that at the start too. We singing the song, greet somebody in Jesus' name, but we can't physically greet, right? But hey, let's turn on the cameras. Y'all turn it back off after. In fact, you're giving them that prelude one time. Because it's the thing. The truth is, and we just do it in church too. Our favorite statement is, let's come a little closer to the front. And people don't like to come to the front at all, right? So that's similar to the turn on your camera kind of thing. So one of the things we started doing anyway is, hey, for song service, we want the music to sound a little more collective, and so you'll just come up to the front for song service. But here is the trick: when they come up to the front for song service, people who come in later, they're going to be sitting in the back, so the seats in the back going to eventually fill up. So we getting them to really come to the front, and then more so later down in the program, most times, another favorite we have in AYs is groups. So later on they're going to move to sections in the groups anyway. So using that example to say, well, hey, come up to the front just for song service. They will be a little more inclined to come with the thought that, hey, as soon as song service finish, I could go back. So we're using the same kind of ideology with the cameras. Just turn on your cameras just to greet somebody, and all turn it back off. In fact, you're telling them to turn it back off, so they don't have to feel bad to turn it back off. But what that does for you is when they turn it on, you are getting a sense of who is there in your program in the evening. Of course, if you're streaming from Zoom to YouTube, that is a little more technical. You want to be careful, because, you have to be careful what you put on YouTube. What you put on YouTube stays there. You have no control over it and that kind of thing. But if it's Zoom AY, it feels a little more comfortable. And certainly if it's Pathfinder or Adventurer class, it's a little more enclosed. So you get that sense. So that's important for you to get a sense of who is actually there, because that now allows you to, yes, you would have prepared your AY before, or prepared your Pathfinder lesson or your Eager Beaver or Adventurer lesson, but we also as leaders have to be flexible, right? If it is that, hey, you prepared a lesson, a AY leader on dating, but when you look, is a set of 10, 12-year-olds, you have to adjust your lesson at that time. And so you don't want a set of 10 or 12-year-olds sitting behind your a camera, off camera in Zoom, and you are here doing an in-depth lesson on in-depth AY discussion on dating. That really not meeting it. So knowing your audience, knowing who is there is important and critical, right? And finding creative ways to do that, right? So that helped me with so this little survey here helped me with that. Oh, and that's another way you could do it. Do a quick survey, a quick poll, right? Of course, in Zoom, we have the poll feature, right? So the host has to set it up when they're setting the meeting before, right? So I didn't use it in this. I wasn't the host prior, so I used my free old Google, all right? And of course, free works. Yes, there's always the little technical things behind it that, Google tells you upright that we collect information. That's fine. I don't really care if they collect the information with how long people have been serving, right? There's nothing personal and private inside of this. So do a quick poll, right? And be creative in the poll. Don't just do a poll asking them their age, but let age be one of the questions, so that you get a sense of how old your audience is and that kind of thing, right? So good. So we were discussing about what else works in terms of, anybody else use any other method that you're able to get persons to turn on their cameras or so? Or to get a sense of who is there, who is in your audience? No? All right. Cool. Right. So I've just shown you, right? Somebody saying something?
Can you repeat?
Oh, I was just asking if anybody else used any other method to probably get folks to turn on their cameras or to get a sense of who is there, who is present in the AY or in the club. Well, club, as I say, is a little different, right? So I'm going to kind of adjusting and speaking more to AY since we have more AY leaders here. Right. I'm assuming for the folks who are adventurer and eager beaver leaders, you would definitely know who is present in your clubs because the parents would probably be signed in. And yes, and you have a little more control when it's Pathfinder or adventurers because you could ask the parents to, let the cameras be on. And that helps, if certainly if it's club, you could ask the parents to do that because you would now be talking to people rather than to a screen. All right. I don't know if any of you saw, like in the CPL cricket last year, and in some cases in some of the competitions in the Olympics, when you looked in the stands, of course it was said that there's supposed to be no spectators, but when you look in the stands and the camera is scanning, it looks as if it's people. And what they actually had was pictures of people there. And that did something, right? Rather than these players playing for empty stand, it's a kind of mindset. It presents the idea that, hey, we are playing for people. And it's the same kind of concept that you want when you're doing a AY program or you're teaching your curriculum in your Pathfinder Adventure class, that yes, I'm talking to people and I really just talking into a screen, right? Because that takes a lot more adjusting. So one free resource, as I said, and I think everybody know about Google by now. If you don't have a Google email address, hey, open one. It's one of the nicest tools and it's free, right? So you have your Google Drive there and you could create these forms. You can also create your quizzes or exams. So you have your honors, right, that you're doing. Hey, create your quiz, right? So I think my screen is still sharing, right? Nope, wrong thing. Sure. So give me a second. Right, so you can actually create any of those fun things there. But of course, one of the nice tools in Google is being able to create a quiz, all right? And you can set them to answer the question and you set it as a quiz, right? You assign the points and everything, and they will actually get their results and you would be able to go in and do it after. So using this Google form, you can actually transform it to be used for a quiz or your exams, what you would usually print out on a paper and give the folks to write in their answers and have them to do it online. That's the way schools are going now. Of course, on a bigger sense, they're using something called learning management systems. A lot of them still using the Google Classroom. If your church actually has its own website, right, which would mean more than likely they have their own domain name. For example, if you have a website, www.stanmoreadventist.org, then stanmoreadventist.org is your own domain name, in which case you would more than likely have an email address associated with that. So you may have pastor@stanmoreadventist.org. You may have pathfinders at stanmoreadventist.org or whatever, in which case you could actually register for a free version of Google Classroom. All right, so I'm just sharing that idea to you, sharing these things with you so that probably you could kind of hint it to your church boards, hint it to your AY leaders, your pastors, and that kind of thing. And you get these things to be used for free. And the Google Classroom becomes useful for you in your Pathfinder Adventurer clubs. And hey, it becomes useful to you in your AY as well. All right, like in our cases, at times we do as part of our devotions, we'd actually do features which relate back to the uniform honors. So even persons who are not necessarily in a club, but in the club, they actually still are involved in doing some of the honors. All right. Right. So just touch base. Make sure everybody's still there. And anybody know of any other resource that we can use, or any other thing you have been using, like for your testing or to present information, that kind of thing, to your respective clubs or your AYs?
We use in AY, we use forms.app. It's an app on your phone. So it's app, but it also is associated with your emails too. But it's easier to create and send. I think it's forms.app. Yeah, forms.app. Yeah.
All right.
I just want to play so and download it, and it's easy to send out a quick form to fill out, and you can edit it and have cover page and back page. Things to do like the service, just like Google Form.
Right. Nice. Cool. And it's free as well, right?
Yeah. But
nice.
you know, everything's free up to a certain.
Yes. Yeah. Cool. This is good. Nice. Right. And so there's one other one that we use as well, but I don't really, right, Jot Forms. I don't particularly like it because it has limits, and plenty limits, I find. But it's also an option that is out there. We used it when we were doing our crusade not too long ago. So it's very similar as well. You could create your forms and you do polls and that kind of thing. All right, so there. You have three options: your Google Forms, Forms.app, and Jot Forms that you can do to use for these options. Anything else? Anybody else has any options? All right, good. So right, so quickly just going to run through some things here as we related back to the technology, right? Because the basics remain the same. And of course, you know, we as followers of Christ being the master teacher, and whatever we do, we are following Christ, right? Whether in AY, Pathfinders, Adventurers, Personal Ministries, Treasurer, Eldership, District Leader, you're in the band, wherever you serve, at the end of the day, it's all about serving Christ and following Jesus. Jesus was the master teacher. Now, here was the thing, and Paul alluded to it as well when he said that I am become all things to all men so that I may save some. What is Paul saying here? No, not that he's going to, well, he said to the Jew, I became as a Jew, and so on and so on. Paul is simply saying that, hey, I have to be adaptable as a presenter, as a teacher, as a AY leader, as a facilitator. Whatever it is I am doing, I have to be adaptable. But at the same time, I am keeping the same core. So Jesus' ministry never changed. Jesus's purpose was always consistent and the same. Jesus's message was also always consistent with thus saith the Lord and it is written. But Jesus used different methods. One of the well-known methods that we know that we use today is that of parables, all right? And of course, derived from that, we have the storytelling honor in the uniform ministry as well. So Jesus would have used whatever methods were necessary so that the folks that he was speaking to would have been reached where they needed to be reached. And that is what our roles are as leaders in whatever capacity, and especially so in youth work, right? I remember once a principal of mine said to us as a staff that if the student hasn't learned, then the teacher has not taught. And I remember we in the staff room, we were really upset. We had a big clash with our principal for saying something like that, because we were like, hey, at the end of the day, if we go in there and teach, it's up to the student to ensure that they learn and thing. And I'll be honest, I was really upset about the statement, because I thought to myself, here it is that I am coming to work every day, coming to school and thing, and even after I leave school and I go home and prepare my lessons and all of that. And what you're trying to tell me is that if at the end of the term, if the students' results are not up to a certain level, then that is an indictment on me as the teacher. And I was upset, but I was young in the business still. I was a young teacher. And as I grew, I began to understand what the statement meant. Not so much that it was an indictment on me, but more so as a teacher, my responsibility is ensure not just that I teach, but also that what I teach and how I teach is in a format such that the student has every possibility and every option to learn. So it's not just that I go in and I mean, I would go in and yes, I had all my notes and stuff. We had to divert away from the chalk, what they call it, the chalk and board or chalk and talk. Chalk and talk was the title. So what I'm trying to say is that, hey, at the end of the day, the core of what we present or the content may well be the same, right? In AY, it's the same. We are trying to save our youth. But how we present it, it has to be adjusted based on the audience that we have, and I alluded to that. And now we have to adjust to the times that we are living in. And this is where this great big challenge about online school and online AY, online church, and all of that come into play. But first, I just want us to touch on some basics, right? As we go into a little more details in terms of the technology side of it. I want to just bring us back to this. First things first is that it's always about ministry. Remember, whatever it is you're doing, that at the end of it, it must be to accomplish the goal of ministry. Everything we say, everything we do, and everything we think must all be about ministry. If it's not all about ministry, then it's really all about nothing. And whatever it is that we do, we have to ensure that the focus is kept there, right? And for the pathfinders, the curriculum, as we say, is not just about the acquisition of pins. And for AY, is not just about having a program. If it is that you have a program, at the end of it, all that happened was that you had a program, then that's all that happened. You had a program. And there's nothing gained out of that, all right? But what we want to be able to do is reach people. We want to be able to reach our charges, whether in AY, Pathfinders, Adventurers, or wherever. Or when I was in band, right? We had to ensure that, hey, that we are meeting the needs of even the band members wherever they were at, right? And since there's not the Pathfinder folks here, I'm going to just rush through some of those. And here's a core concept that we need to, young people need to become familiar with the Bible and appreciate its relevance and apply its principles. I'm sharing this with you so that even as we look at the technology and how we could use these online means, we have to keep the core concepts in mind. Whatever platform I use, I am using it to accomplish this here, that they need to be familiar with the Bible and appreciate the relevance and apply its principles. Here's another one, and of course this one is important to me. I currently serve as our personal ministries leader, and you find that most times you have some witnessing endeavor or something, you find some level of resistance from the young persons. When I say resistance, not that they would push back on the program, but more so they may not show up. All right, but God wants young persons to understand that as well, that they are to be helpful. Here's a critical one, and two of you mentioned earlier that aspect of socializing, and you missed that. And so one of the core concepts of the curriculum, Pathfinders and all throughout, we should appreciate the peoples and cultures which make up our neighborhood based on Christ's definition of who is your neighbor. Right? So this here talks about the socializing, right? So again, keep in mind the reason why we are mentioning these core concepts, because we now have to find creative methods using online technologies to still fulfill these core concepts. So you mentioned young persons being, knowing that God is calling them to witness, young persons being inclined with the Bible, and here we're talking about socializing and so on. Good health and physical fitness. Again, how are we going to do that in these times? And these gyms are closed. We can't go on a hike. We can't go on a nature walk. So what are we going to do? All right. And we want to ensure that God's character is revealed in the nature. Right. So let's come back to some of these other methods here. And one more thing I'll share with you from this list, right, is the different learning styles. And this is important for us to know as well, right? And it applies again to any ages, to all ages, sorry. So some persons are visual learners. Anybody want to tell us what that means? What do you think that means? Anybody? Visual learners? Who do you think they are? Or any characteristic of those?
Learning by seeing.
Sorry. All right. Sanja, you're unmuted, so you could go ahead.
Somebody said learning by seeing, so yes, basically, that is
All right.
sight is
Good.
their main source of learning.
All right, good. So keep that in mind. What about oral?
They learn from what they hear.
Nice. Good. What about verbal?
Is it from what they read? I'm not sure.
So what they read or what they say. All right. Physical.
By what they do.
So actually doing something or touching. Yes, good.
Kinesthetic people.
Yeah. And these logical folks. Could probably give an example if you wish as well.
They like it kind of similar to like physical, but it does have to process these steps in a way, so like if like a maths question, you have to like prove this will be it kind of thing.
Good. So yes, so they process it on their own. So you give them probably some basic information and they come to their own logical derivation. Sorry. What about social?
Hello, Waldron. I just want to interject here for a second. We have a couple club persons coming on.
All right.
And I want them to identify themselves so that at least you will know because you are changing up a bit based on who the audience. So now that they are here, you could,
All right, so
identify themselves now.
All right. So if they don't want to talk, you can do it via the chat. So just so you'll probably have to get everybody to do it again. So you type in your church and you're indicating to us what area you serve in. So if you're serving in Pathfinders, Adventurers, or AY, so just your church and what area you're serving in. And good. Social. Somebody was going to say what is the social learning style? Anybody? Or y'all busy typing? All right. Anybody?
It's social basically from the persons around you, learning from your environment, the persons around
Good.
you.
Nice. And then we have solitary.
They learn by themselves, basically.
Yeah. So that's it. Right. So good. Now here's the thing about learning styles, and it's important to know that. So while everyone has, well, let me don't say everyone. Usually, most persons would have a primary learning style, all right? But it's not necessary that they have only that learning style. So some persons may learn primarily by visual or spatial, primarily by what they see. All right. And but they also, that could also be reinforced by what they hear, or that could be reinforced that they're seeing, but they also doing hands-on stuff. All right. Some persons may better learn by orally, maybe their primary learning style, but that may be reinforced by verbal, by them hearing it and then they themselves repeating it or saying it. All right. So all of these are different styles. Good. And Jode jumped the gun, all right, by answering the question already, because I want each of you now to look at these and tell me what you think is your primary learning style. And if you also think you have a secondary learning style, you can indicate that as well. All right. So tell me, what is your primary learning style? And if you think you have a secondary one, indicate that as well. So those, whoever wants to respond in the chat, you can do so. If you want to say, you can also do so. Right?
Okay, I'll go first, I guess.
So,
I believe my primary style is verbal.
Right.
I really prefer to like learn my stuff through books and reading instead of like listening or visual aids and thing. And I guess my secondary will be logical.
All right. Good. Anybody else?
Yeah, we're here. Okay.
Right.
I'm Chanel. So Darrell speaking. My main learning style is probably, well, I'm saying physical. I normally say hands-on, but physical, and probably secondary will be social.
All right. Good.
And well, I really like to say I'm a mixture between visual, auditory, and physical kinetics, because sometimes, like during my little studies, I used to repeat what I write in the book. So at the same time, I'm doing it at the same time, concrete the information. And well, obviously, physical, doing a physical activity about it, that has also that. I think that would be secondary. But when in terms of learning for something, I used to have to see and hear what I am at the same time.
All right. Good. That the second, Chanel was who spoke secondly, right? Was both of you spoke, right? Okay, good. All right. Anybody else wants to share? So Kia, I hope I'm saying that correctly. Kia says she is primary and, well, oh no, her primary is actually, yes, kinesthetic, and then visual. Sanja is saying visual and hands-on. Jode is also hands-on. Right, good. So we have Kosi is also Pathfinder leader. Good. Right. Sanjay is also reinforcing that you have to teach the students learning abilities. Good. Nice. Oh, ooh. What's here? I hope I'm saying that correctly.
What's here?
What's here? All right. Good. Thank you. Good. Anybody else wants to share their what you think is your learning style? All right. Brother Thomas is saying hands-on and solitary. Good. I'm seeing Tracy here. I don't think I've heard. Oh, good. Sorry, I was now going and pick on you.
I,
Mm-hmm.
my primary would be physical
All right.
and secondary solitary.
All right. Good. Good. So now the important aspect of that exercise, you see what happened here? We have 12 persons inside of here, and we covered almost basically all of the learning styles, right? So that says one time, and as you get bigger numbers, bigger classes, your AYs, bigger numbers, well, probably in your clubs, if you're teaching in individual classes, friends, separate from the companion, explorer, and so on, probably may have around these same numbers or probably smaller, right? But the point is, and we saw it coming out here, is that we have different learning styles inside of here. What we need to do is ensure that all of these learning styles are somehow met. So I am scratching my head because I don't have a clue. Know why? Because, hey, I am visual. Well, actually, I used to be oral and verbal. So I will listen to what you're saying. So I will go to lectures and stuff when I was in university. I will hear what the lecturer is saying, and then I will go back and repeat my own notes or write my own notes in that case. So verbal is either saying it or yes, you could also write out in your own words. And once I had my own notes and stuff, or once I said it over for myself, that stopped there. I didn't need to see anything being done. Once I'm hearing what you're saying and I'm getting that, I was good, right? And well, also I wasn't really too keen on the group classes and that kind of thing. That was a failure for me. Why? Because I get distracted very easily. So if we are sitting here in a group and somebody tell a joke there, ha ha ha, those guys there would laugh for 2 minutes. But then my situation now is that I will now remember another joke and I will take about 15 to 20 minutes to get back my mindset onto to zone back in on my work, right? So I was a solitary kind of learner. When we would all come together and say we're going to the library, and I would sit with those guys and them for about 15 minutes downstairs because, you know, in those days in university, you want to sit where all the we were young guys, so of course you want to sit where all the females fasten so you can meet people and that kind of thing. I would leave them there, and very soon after, I head in upstairs in a nice little corner cubicle and so on. My point is that, hey, it's hard enough doing that in person classes. So now here's where you have your exercise. And for those of you who came on late, I clarified and that I am here as a facilitator, which is simply to facilitate this discussion and us being able to develop or fulfill the objectives of this session, right? Because I don't have all the ideas, and I figure Brother Thomas, doesn't have all either, because then we probably wouldn't have needed to have a session like this. But of course, this session with all of us here, we could come up with some of them. So let's take Jeanrel. Jeanrel. I think I got that right. Right. So you indicated you said you're primarily physical. I think it is. Got that right? Jeanrel. Right. So I'll be getting right. So yes, Jeanrel, you're on? You there?
I'm here.
Right. Did I get that right? Physical, right?
Yes. I
Right.
said physical and social.
Social. Right. Good. Right. So tell me, how do you think is one way? Let's take this session here. So I presented on the screen the different learning styles, 7 of them. So that would work for the visual folks, but you are physical. You need to be touching something, getting some kind of hands-on. You have any idea of probably some hands-on activity like I could give to help out the other folks? Because we have a number of them. Shonel is also kinesthetic, as well as Tracy. Anything comes to mind in terms of what we could do that what's here is also kinesthetic? What we could do that could help to reinforce these ideas here, or this learning style?
Actually, as you said these things, I've realized that maybe when we plan our AYs, I always end up doing food games, probably because I am a hands-on learner. But a lot of the I do Kahoot games because it's interactive and you get to choose your own stuff. You know about games? You know about Kahoot games?
Yeah, I didn't get the last part.
Do you ever interested in a Kahoot game?
Yep.
Right. So I like to do that, but also I like to do like for my first AY that I ever did, I did go and get a random item in your house and then explain why how get it and explain something about God with it. So like somebody clothespin and they said God keeps me hanging on to or something like that. So it gets you up and it gets you physically applying the point to your life.
Good, nice. So wonderful. So yeah, so Chanel have all Jean will have all the ideas there already. So yeah, so good. So that's one favorite go-to. That whole concept of, hey, even though we online, you could find a way for folks to get hands-on experience. Draw something, do something, go and find a block and write on that, get a block that suggests to you that, hey, yeah, this is something physical. So every time you see this block there, you know that that relates to the person who is a physical person, or has that physical learning style. Probably you need to get a next little corner where you put about 5 pebbles there, and that says to you, yeah, these persons are socializing together. So you are finding ways now to reinforce what we are presenting here. So yes, I'm talking, so that will take care of the visual folks. All right. I could have also asked for you all to repeat these 7 learning styles. All right. Or I could have tried to find some acronym. Well, this one is a little difficult. VAVPLSS, VAVPLSS, VAVPLSS. And you get the folks repeating that over and over. Of course, in AY, it's a little more challenging because it's adults. But in children, you get them saying that VAVPLSS, visual, oral, verbal, physical, LSS, logical, social, solitary, right? But you say that a few times, so that helps with the folks who are verbal. The oral folks are hearing. You've dealt with the physical folks, all right? And then now, what you could do, all right, is you give an assignment where you describe the learning style and let persons come up with which one. So to do that, you could use one of these same Google quizzes, all right, where you do a matching on it. So you put the explanation for the learning style and you match it back. So what is that doing is this person who is the logical learner, they are now reading the explanation for what this learning style is, and logically they are deriving which one of the learning styles that is. All right. Now, here's where it gets tricky. These social folks. So anybody want to tell us? So we already know, hey, these online socials, like, yeah, thing. All right, cool. So anybody has any ideas? Let me see. Who was a social learner here? Nobody was social. Yeah. Oh gosh, I don't want to pick on Genre again. Genre. Well, hey, Nkosi, I know you. Oh, Genre, you want to go ahead? No, sorry, wasn't Genre. Okay. All right. So you'll have to tell me which one.
All I was saying is, well, we using the same phone right now. All I was saying is for auditory, I usually do music. So anything the music.
Nice.
So like, so just convert the visual, oral, verbal to a song and
For instance, learning spellings. The daughter learn a word like people, let's say P-E-O-P-L-E, P-E-O.
Yeah.
And learn it how to get it.
So, and you wouldn't believe the impact that has, and that also works even if you're not a oral learner. It still works. Music is strange, and well, right. So I have a little musical background as well. Music is, and that's why they talk about guarding the avenues of of what type of music you listen to, and of course there's the whole explanation of the subconscious and that kind of thing. But my brother is a primary school teacher, and exactly what you're saying here is what he was doing. He's teaching these concepts and stuff, and I was staying by them for some time, and he was every day he's going da 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 and singing away the concept. And sometimes I getting up next morning and the first thing that I'm hearing is this thing going to my mind, like, hey, no, stop, get it out. I don't want to be learning standard one work all over again. But but it confirms how this is reinforced. All right. So we can, and we're seeing here how we can make use of these methods even though we are online. All right. And I'll just post in the chat. So yes, so Jean-Rel mentioned it. So just for those of you who don't have it as yet, I'll just post the paste the website in the chat. Right. And good news, it's now so it has the website, and Zoom now has a built-in app whereby you can use that Cahoots option as well, right? As a app within Zoom. All right. Right. And here's another resource that, again, free. Forgive me, I generally only use the free stuff. All right. So this ztins.com. Oh, Chanel is asking where. So it has to be. I don't think I've seen it on the phone, but I saw it on the computer. When you log on, I want to make sure. I'll probably have to confirm that it's not only for paid accounts. Well, yeah, I saw it on my account, my Zoom account. But in fact, no, I don't even think it's related to the accounts. It's related to the app. So you probably have to download the latest version of Zoom on your local computer, right? And you will see, I don't think I can share the Zoom window, but I certainly can take a screenshot. So give me 1 second. Anything, the home button.
This the free, the paid Zoom.
So that I have to confirm, but I actually think I don't think it's related to the Zoom account. I believe it's related to the Zoom application. So it should work whether you're right. So Brother Thomas is confirming that he sees the Zoom option as well, the apps option. So I want to believe that it is independent of of the type of account, right? Because it's actually on the home page before you even get in. So let me just take a quick screenshot of this and share there, right? So you see in the apps there, and when you go into apps, you see there are a number of them. You can go and search and discover and that kind of thing. And when you search, you can, sorry. Yeah, when you search, you can download whichever ones you want. So I downloaded the timer and I downloaded this Kahoots one, right? And there are a number of virtual backgrounds and that kind of thing. So you go to Discover and you could search for Kahoots and you could download that as one of the apps. And that I say that, I don't think that's based on the account. That's on the Zoom home.
So it's like your Zoom. Once you update your Zoom, you should be able to get the
Yes, correct. Right? I can't recall if I've seen it on the phones as yet. So I don't want to say for sure. Right? Right. So there's this other one here, which is ztings.com. Right? Again, free resource. Right? And so I'm going to paste a chat here. And let me just, I have a lot of windows open. So this works somewhat similar to Zoom and all of that, all right? But again, a free resource, right? So if you click on the link that I sent you, it should take you to this page, all right? So I just created a poll inside of here. Oh no, actually I sent you the wrong link. Sorry. This is the link I should have sent you. The second one, right? The first one I think takes you directly to something else, right? And so you can actually use this if you don't have a free Zoom or whatever. You can actually use this. You send persons the link. So you have to create your own account, right? And you send persons the link and that kind of thing. And you could do your presentation using here, right? The good thing about this, of course, and same thing, you could add polls, you can do surveys, upload your PowerPoint, you can actually create slides inside of here, all right? And the good thing about this application, it kind of provides like analytics to you, analytics in the sense of how many persons were on, how long they were on for, the length of the meetings and that kind of thing, right? So that is, I pasted that in the chat as well, ztings, well, the homepage will be ztings.com. So when you create your own account and you start to present, you can use this, right? And as I said, you have polls and stuff, right? Right, so anybody went to my link? You see in my presentation?
Excuse me, would you be able to make it a clickable link in the chat? Because I'm not getting to paste it for some reason.
It's not posting as a clickable link. That's not. Oh, okay. Probably have to put the HTTP sources. Okay, try this one here now. Right, yeah. So it should be clickable now.
Yeah, thank you.
Right. So good. So I want you to vote. I think you should be able to. Let me make sure for myself. All right. So yes, I want you to answer this poll question here. So tell us, what do you prefer?
For the record, and I using the same phone, but we had conflicts of interest. She fought me and she no, she put yes. That just calculate that.
You can't vote more than once from the, if you open it, close it off and open it back again.
Okay, I'll try.
Yeah. All right. So we have 30 seconds again. All right. Good. So we have 7 responses. 2 people. 8. But it's actually supposed to be 11, since Sonel and Jean-Rel are sharing the same phone. All right. Good. So we have 8 responses. We look at that. Right. So it's basically 50-50. Some prefer online, some prefer in person. Of course, both of them have their advantages. For example, I didn't have to leave to drive down to Port of Spain this evening. I'm in the comfort of my home. So it takes me about 1 minute after the presentation to get back to my living room, right? Good. So yeah, so there are the advantages and disadvantages. So that's another nice resource. Good. So we also spoke of another learning type, and when you're dealing with children, of course, different people have different views on animations and cartoons and that kind of thing. I'll share the information. You folks decide what you're comfortable with and so on, right? But yes, and there are some animation creations that are very useful, right? And could be made good little use of. That's not the one. So I thought of, I didn't have much time, but I tried to see how best I could introduce myself. So I'm going to put that link as well in the chat. So that's a free resource again that we use to create animations. And Jordi said maybe yes. As I said, we're already here, so we're going forward, right? All right. And that took me just about probably 10 minutes or something to create, because they have a heap of animations already kind of somewhat pre-prepared, right? So again, we're trying to remember the core of it. We are still presenting the same concepts, but we're trying to find ways that will meet the different learning styles, even though we are online. And hey, probably it would have, if we were in person, it would have been a little more challenging to have to go and set up projector and all of that to show animation like this. We already doing it. So we already on Zoom or Google Meet or whatever we're using. So we make use of it. Instead of you having to sit down here, so I just created an animation with sharing some information there, and I could have talked, but hey, I've been talking whole evening. So why not? Why not create an animation that does that quite simply, right? And presents the same concept. If you're not too IT background related, Udemy actually has a free course on how to use this resource, Powtoon or Pootoon. I don't know. I don't even know how to pronounce it properly, but you know, it's useful, right? So you go there, you create again a free account, and you create your animations and stuff. It's trust me. You see, I have 3 young nephews and a niece, and you should see them when they behind that. Their minds already inclined to that kind of thing. That's what they're trying sitting and listening to. So for you to come and sit down on a session like this and try to talk for an entire evening for adventurers, you failed from the start already. So you have to find these means and methods and so on. Of course, there's already a lot of it, and hey, it's a free resource again, youtube.com. There are so many videos on there, and you could download the video and share it. I always suggest downloading the video and sharing it in the Zoom rather than trying to show a YouTube when in Zoom. It will almost, most times it will stick. All right, so you could download the video onto your computer and thing. So again, very, very useful and very, very simple to use. And here's another resource.
I think there's a hand up, Elder.
Oh,
I think Shonel and Jarrell
sorry.
have a hand.
Yes. All right. Shonel or Jarrell.
Sorry, I almost forgot. Powtoons, I have tried Powtoons, but I think you have to pay for some certain things.
Oh, right. So here's the trick. All right. So usually they want to charge you to download, right? So in everything you find a little workaround. So you do have the option whereby you could pay. Well, one, you notice it kept the logo there, and I don't care whether they want to. I mean, I using their resource for free, so they're keeping their logo on it is fine, right? But if you downloading straight from Powtoons, they will want to charge you. But you could upload to YouTube for free. So open and YouTube is free. So Powtoons to YouTube is free, and YouTube is free. So what I did, I created, well, again, goes back to Google. You have a Google email, you have a free YouTube channel. You create the channel on YouTube and you export from Powtoons. So just for those who are, let me just see if I should still have the window open. Give me a second. Let me find the window. Did I close it? All right.
Oh, I love that idea. I never thought about it like that because I've been using it and it's like, oh shoot, I have to download, I have to pay for this.
Yeah,
but
right.
YouTube, that is
right?
great.
So you see here, when you go to publish options, you can publish to YouTube and it will ask you to log in and so on. So I would have already created. So here's where the trick comes in. Of course, you could leave it to public if you want, but I usually set it to private, which means I'm the only one could see it on my YouTube channel, right? And once I export it to my YouTube channel, I go into my YouTube, your videos, So it takes you to your studio here, right? And you go here and you download here. So you download for free, basically. It's a little longer, but hey, it's free, you know? So yes, so sorry, I should have showed that option as well. Thanks for the reminder, all right? So of course, if you want to, you know, again, you could always leave it on there. If you create it inside of Powtoons and you want to show it from in there during your Zoom meeting, you could do that. I always prefer to, if I'm sharing things in Zoom, I set it in my download it to my machine, sorry, right? It works better, right? And so I shared, or did I actually share it, or was sharing? So here's another link. And I also don't believe in reinventing the wheel. And I'm sharing this with you also as a general resource. Again, it's free. It's Seventh-day Adventist Learning Community. There are a number of benefits inside of there, in that there are a number of courses. I would suggest all EY leaders go inside of there, and you'll see a number of courses that are related to AY in terms of urban youth and ministry, youth ministry, new age youth ministry, a number of different courses. They are all free. You do it at your own pace. Hey, you get a certificate at the end of it. I have a number of certificates. I put them inside of certificate frames, and I'm going to be sticking up in the back of my wall, right? So there are those there, but I would suggest specifically in terms of related to our session this evening, these 4 sessions, these 4 courses here, you can look at it, right? So while I just shared practically some information, I didn't go into too much detail and so on in terms of the learning management systems and stuff. But because these are some resources here that are there, right? Of course, one of the major issues in Zoom is being able to manage the participants, right? So this first one here, this classroom management Zoom style, the presenter gives some very, very simple and basic ideas in terms of that, in terms of using things like the breakout rooms. So if you have, again, you want to do group sessions for AY, you use your breakout rooms. You can set it before, and you have the host assigning people as they come in. You could decide who goes where, or you could set it randomly, right? Again, I'm going to too much technical details for those there. And there's one particular course here. Yes, no, sorry. That I want to suggest, right? So AY leaders, this social media 101, you want to take a look at that, definitely. For the Pathfinder leaders as well, you want to take a look at this. So again, we're talking about not reinventing the wheel, right? Resources already out there. Yes, it's not America, right? But it's basically the same, right? And right, see this course here. I would suggest for all EY leaders to go through that. It gives you a different idea or overview in terms of how the youth are thinking now, right? And we think, while this would have been before COVID, we see some of the practicalities of it coming out even now in COVID, all right? So again, free courses, make use of it, do it. I enjoy doing it. As you see, as they come out, I just enroll. I still have a heap of it pending, but I go along as I think. This one, the Art of Youth Ministry again, right? But these here that I sent you in the first set of lists, in the first list, deals with managing the whole Zoom. So while we spoke of the Zoom in brief, I didn't go into details in terms of managing, but yeah, there are certain facilities you have in Zoom, that whole breakout room. There's the poll, all right. And as I mentioned, you have the Kahoots, which is an app in Zoom as well, right? Good. And then couple other pointers. I just want to share with you quickly in terms of Zoom etiquette. We've become really comfortable in terms of the Zoom now and so on. But presenters, you have to be very, very particular when you're coming onto Zoom. All right. You want to come on early, do your checks, your camera checks, your background checks. You don't want to sit in a position where persons are walking up and down, and especially if you're the main person, like you're the AY leader for the evening, of course you want to, yes, persons in different situations, but you want to, as much as possible, you as the leader or as the course teacher or whatever, you want to have your camera on, even if the participants do not, right? There are persons who read lips, even though they could hear, but because they learn better. So even though you are simply speaking, looking at your lips would actually help you, right? And again, we spoke of, yes, as simple as it may seem, PowerPoints. Hey, it still works, even on Zoom, right? We spoke of the animations. Right, one more thing, and this here is to, if you want to like record your screen or something like before. So let's say you want to, it's a lesson where you actually have to do an activity and you want to do a demonstration first, right? So this resource here helps you with screen and lesson recording. So if you have to teach the same lesson, let's say you have big groups, right? And you have to teach the same lesson. Yes, we can do it in the Zoom, but this here helps with if you're doing an activity on the computer, right? And you need to do a demonstration, you can record your screen and you talking with this resource here. Again, it's a free resource. Of course, with all free resources, there are some limitations in terms of the number of downloads you could do per month or that kind of thing, right? So you don't want to just randomly just do it. Make proper use of it. Just making sure I capture most of it. Right. One other thing, of course, you want to also, while we're using the new age methods, you want to try to keep some of the core content as far as possible, right? So for example, AY leaders, you still want to have like a devotion, right? Again, you have to find creative ways to do it, right? Hey, we had draw swords the other day on Zoom. Of course, people had to turn on the cameras, right? Because we want to use your Bibles instead of the phone. And we want to see that you're using your Bibles. So we had online draw swords. Again, you could use your same quizzes, right? Using the same Google apps or form apps that was shared with us this evening. Right. So I just wanna, before we go into questions, any other resource anybody else has been using and you want to just share it with the rest of us? As we say, we're here to facilitate. So some of these I learned from attending other sessions. So I hoping to take away a couple here this evening. I got the forms.app for sure. So anybody else has any other resource that you have been using, whether in your AY programs or in your curriculum? One last thing, as I said, the Google Forms, we can use it for our honors and so on. You could also use it for your curriculum testing and that kind of thing. And you could have your either Dropbox or Google Drive where you ask the parents to submit assignments and stuff. Give the children and them assignments to do home. Yes, you cannot take the club on a nature walk, but send them on a nature walk. Let that be an assignment. Give them it to be done home, give them something to find, and then when they come back, they report by showing it to the rest of the class. So you're still giving them activities. The whole idea is that even though we are in this pandemic, you still want to think. So there's nothing stopping us from going outside individually. We can't go as a group, right? And even then, well, yeah, let me not encourage that. But can't go as a group. But yes, you could still give them activities. Go and do this. Do the hands-on stuff. If you actually have hands-on activities, like, well, in some cases, the churches provide monies for the clubs to purchase resources, still purchase the resources and try to get it to the kids and them, right? Or you have a central meeting point. You give each of the parents a time in which to come and collect the things. You meet at the church or whatever and give each, so that you don't have congregating at the church, but each of them come and collect their resources. They go home and they bring it back, right? They have to do nuts, probably, I don't know, some churches provide the material and the boards and that kind of thing. If that's the case, still provide it, because you don't want the children unable to be able to fulfill the requirements because of the pandemic. Folks, in summary, the simple thing is this, that, hey, even though, here's what happened. When we started this pandemic, the whole thing was everybody was simply saying, hold some strain until it passes. We are way beyond that now. We've more than a year gone past that. We can't hold strain anymore, because if we've been doing that, our children, our youth have been suffering for over a year. So what we have to do now is find ways that we could still implement it. I've just touched the tip of an iceberg, just to kind of jog your memories, share some ideas, share some thoughts. We bounce off ideas. But from here, where do we go? At the end of the day, I need to find ways and means that I could still fulfill the objectives, which is to the core concepts, getting my youths and my charges, the children, thinking about Jesus, reinforcing biblical concepts in them, still allowing them to see the need to be kind, to be friendly, still allowing them to see the importance of being grounded in Christ. Whatever it takes, whatever means, I still have to find the ways and the means. That's all that I hope that we could get out of this session this evening. It's just a start, it's off of it. But I'm sure many of you, and hey, Google is a friendly thing. You search on Google, you find ways and means to do what you want to do. The important thing is for us to be grounded. You know what you have to do, and we find ways to do it. And I saw Chanel and Jorel share two other resources here: Class Dojo for little kids classes and Mentimeter.com. So thank you all very much. I'll be making use of those. Certainly going to be checking it out. All right. It's something that I like to do as well. Still working on some stuff, trying to build out some resources that folks could use in the implementation of it. So any other ideas, any other thoughts, any questions, feel free to do so. I'm open to them now. Again, you can type or talk if you're so inclined.
My question, Elder, is as you spoke about etiquette, Zoom etiquette. I know that is something that we have a lot of work to do, and I would want to invite you, if you so, if you would accept to maybe do a session with our society sometime in the near future about Zoom etiquette. If you would accept that is my thinking. This Zoom etiquette, we still have a long ways to go, because I know we still getting a custom, and sometimes we fall back into the old way of doing things, and not knowing that we on like we in church sometimes. It come like you're in church, and you still have people talking and chatting just like it happened in church. But then it become more real now, because you're closer and you forget your camera, you forget your to mute yourself, and So
Yep.
that is something I'd want to twist your arm a little bit to see if you can come back at some time in the future. And well, I know you'll have much more persons, so we'll be prepare ourselves much more. So we have the full society, full Port of Spain West District to come and be a part of that. So that is something I'll leave it to you to think about and give a response as at your appropriate time.
Sure, that shouldn't be a problem, man. We appreciate. I'll be keen to share with that as well. Yeah.
Hi. Good evening, everyone.
Hi.
Lavon Ovid. I'm from the Diego Martin Petite Valley Adventurer Club, and I teach the Sunbeam class. And while I am only using PowerPoint presentations right now, I'm trying to engage them, the 7-year-olds, with different things. But I was wondering to ask you if you had other ideas for engaging children of that young age. But I saw someone put 2 options for children in the chat. I'm just wondering, how are those used, or what are they used for?
All right.
Okay.
Yes, Chanel.
So Class Dojo right now, well, I used to be an adventurers. Right now I'm using Class Dojo for my beginners class. What it is, it allows for the children. I wonder if I can share my screen, right? No.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
we could do it. Hold on.
She said no.
Oh, you said no, you don't want to share the screen?
But my leader said no. Let me see if I can share. All right. Oh gosh. Hold on one moment, right? Come back to you. No, it's just about share screen. Start now. Right. So this is Class Dojo in my beginners class. And what is allowed, this is my students inside it. What it allows for me is to post up, keep my parents interactive. So I post up stories, I post up activities for them. So this is the activity for this Sabbath, and I put links in it. And as well as it allows for them to do activities, complete assignments. So my son is in the class also, so I'll choose his. So when you post an activity for them, and well, they also get points. So they would only get points on Sabbath because that's when we have Sabbath class. So you will get to see Sabbath. But so this is activities that they do. Well, obviously he completed the activities, so you will see it under the completed, but the teachers will post the activities that will go under to do. So you could probably do your Sunbeam, you give them an activity, a coloring page or whatever, and they would be able to draw. So let me go in. You could assign how you want them to reply. So they could put up a picture, they could draw, they could draw the coloring page as a workbook. So when you press it, they could draw. If you want them to type, they press type. And they can type, etc. Undo. So it allows for the little children, the younger ones, if they want them to put a sticker of the name, they can put it. Right? So let me discard it. And also like put up the pictures. So that's why I find it's very interactive. And well, the parents get to see what their children are doing. So the parents' account and the teacher, well, the children account, and then you also, in the teacher's account, like beginners, you get some message, your parents, as well as you see all the notifications of what children who completed their assignments, what the parents like the page, you get to communicate within this app itself, but the app on the phone. Stop share.
That's okay. That looks quite interesting. Yes, I guess I would have to learn it myself. But the challenges I have is seeing that with adventurers, you really need the parental assistance. I do have some children whose parents may not be so tech savvy, so that might pose a challenge as well.
So what I try to do is, well, firstly, I have a Zoom session with them and I show them, okay, this is an app, as well as I screen record right before. So I said, when you download the app, I'm going to send you, so the app allows us to send the stuff to the phone. When you download it, I screen record step by step. This is what you're doing. You press this, you press that, you press this, you press that, and obviously with the first, when you now start, they will not be good. But as you go along and you keep reminding them, yeah. So sometimes even though I have class Dojo, I still have to come back on WhatsApp and tell them, okay, I post assignments, go on it, this is what you have to do. So it's only until they will reach stage one time. You have to continue coaching them until they understand, because it's a whole new thing. It's a new thing for them. They don't understand. But I like it because when the children get to interact. Once the parents know how to let the children draw and do the thing, it's interactive without, during the COVID season, you can't really get to send stuff for them. So it's easy, and the little apps and the little cute cartoons and thing is kind of, it attracts their eye.
Nice. So Chanel, what we seeing here is that probably, of course, Elder Thomas may organize that, but so Chanel probably just needs to hold a little session there, as a follow up, and do a little more in depth in it. I'm just glancing it, and it looks really nice. So yeah, that's a nice resource there. Cool. I definitely took note of it as well. Right. Anything else from anyone? All right. Well, Brother Thomas, I turn back over to you.
Wow, we had an exciting evening, and all those who enjoyed it immensely, I want to see your thumbs up, your hearts, and your various emojis. We are Elder Waldron, we really appreciate this. We have learned quite a lot, and from the other presenters, we got, each presenter brought something unique, and so we now are able to put this whole pizza with the mushrooms and the pineapple and the green peppers together, and this is a wonderful pizza we have created, and we thank you very much for bringing that last slice, and this last slice tasted real nice. It tasted wonderful. So we want to thank you very much for the time that you would have put in and took to, and we are glad that you are in good health. I know you had your little challenge, and we appreciate you, and we prayed for you, and we appreciate that you are in good spirits, and that you would have taken the time and still do this for us. So we appreciate it very much. We want to thank you. We have our education officer here, who is Sandra Cummins. She's our education officer, so she will be taking a lot of notes. And we have my two bosses are here. Tracy, who's the secretary for Port West, and Cheyenne, assistant secretary treasurer. So they are here with us, and Nkosi is our uniform person for the district. And we have, then also we have Laverne, who's uniform. So we are glad that they could have come on, and so they have a handful to present to their district, and we will run this presentation again because we have it recorded. So it's there now. So so we have it to use perpetually. So we thank you very much and sorry that we couldn't get the rest of the society, more persons in, but because of timing and people back out to work now. Before, when there was a greater lockdown, we had a wider scope of person, but now people are now going back in and now getting back in the groove. But I rest assured that this is going to go a long ways, especially for the uniform club, where we can use all these tools. These are tools that they can use to interact, seeing that we cannot be physically together as we would want to. So we thank you for your timely input, and we want to ask, before we leave, I don't know if anyone have any comments or any thank yous for Elder Waldron for taking his time from all the way up in the east to come to the west. Thank God he didn't have to take a taxi or travel or jump in his vehicle and come down, but we can still have taken advantage of his resource. So we want to, if anyone has anything to say before we ask Sister Sonja to close us off. Anyone has any words or comments, or maybe a final word?
I can go. On behalf of the Stanmore committee, we are very glad to be here. We are glad for all your input, your knowledge that you have bestowed onto us. We are glad that you gave us all these resources, helpful resources. My sister will not stop talking about the power tunes because she really liked it, but she always thought it was paid, so she couldn't get it for free. She's so glad that you showed her. So we really are glad for the information that you got to give to us, even though you said at the start you wasn't supposed to have this session till this time. I think it was just the right time. The Lord made sure that how he wanted the information to go before get out. It was the one. I would like to thank you again on behalf of the
Thank you, Shonel and Jarell. And incidentally, Elder Waldron, the AY leader, is the youngest. So she's, I know the youngest one always bully the older ones.
Yeah.
Okay, but if no one else, you want to ask Sister Sonja to send us off with a word of prayer.
All right, good night. Brother Junior, and also to this Brother Thomas, also to this brother. Remember, I told you all in the meeting about the courses for you to do free, and you can get certificate at the end of it. You heard he mention it, right? So those are the things that I was speaking about, that I'll trying to get all the little bitsy information together to send you all a sheet of it. So this elder here, he spoke of it. So this is some of the things that I had in mind for us to do. So Elder, I would also like to say that, I probably sounding like a young person, but I'm not too young. So all this was good information for me. I will be trying all of these fancy things. I will try, and if I don't succeed, I always say I have my two daughters. I call them my secretaries. I say, come and do this, Solly mother. Do this, do that. So I'll have it done. So don't worry. So thank you very much for taking the time to come and present to us, even the old fossils like me. But thank you very, very much. And by the way, I'm in the east also, so we didn't have to travel down the road together.
Okay, great.
All right. Could we bow our heads and close our eyes for prayer? Heavenly Father, we are indeed thankful that we could have come together today for this session, for this training. Father, your timing is the best. So we thank you for this session. We thank you for the presenter. We thank you for all the heads bowing here at this time, Lord. Father, we pray for also all the societies represented here, even the ones who didn't get to come on, Heavenly Father, that the information will go out to them, and that in turn it could be used for the betterment of your word, Heavenly Father, so that others could come to have you as their Lord and Savior. Father, I pray that you will be with each and every one of us as we get involved in doing being your partner in getting the words out. And I ask that you give everybody represented here a restful night. And Father, above all things, Lord, let your will be done in all of our endeavors. And we ask this in no other name but the name of Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. So, Elder, we thank you very much, and I wish all a good night. May God continue to bless you real good.
All right. Blessings, everyone.
Okay.
Good night, everyone. Restful
night.
night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.